Creating the Last of Us series was a huge team effort, combining amazing visual effects, practical effects, and storytelling. Today on Collider, we tell you everything about the behind the scenes and how everyone worked hard to bring the post-apocalyptic world to life. One of the most iconic aspects of The Last of Us is its infected characters, which required a lot of prosthetics and makeup. The show's designers went all out to bring the terrifying fungal monsters from the game to life. It wasn't just about making them look creepy, they had to feel believable too. The infected are the result of the cordyceps fungus, which causes horrific mutations as it takes over its hosts. There are different stages of infection, each requiring careful planning and execution to nail the grotesque look. Barry Gower, prosthetics designer, and his team were responsible for designing the various stages of infection, from mild to monstrous. The early stages, like the initial fungal blooms on the skin, were created with prosthetics that could be quickly applied for actors to wear. These early stages helped convey the sense of a person slowly succumbing to the infection, giving the actors the chance to show the gradual transformation. As the infection advanced, however, the prosthetics became more intense. Take the terrifying clickers, for example. They were among the most complicated designs. The clickers have massive fungal growths on their faces, which needed to look realistic while still allowing the actors to perform effectively. Their faces, nearly fully covered by fungal tissue, had to maintain an element of expression for the actors to convey the intense emotions of the scene. The design process for these creatures involved finding a balance between creating something grotesque and ensuring the actors could still perform. The challenge lay in designing prosthetics that allowed movement and flexibility while maintaining the terrifying look of the infected. For example, the clickers required prosthetics that were lightweight but still sturdy enough to look menacing. Materials like foam latex and silicone were used to create the fungal growths, and animatronics were integrated to give the facial movements a lifelike quality. This combination ensured that the clickers looked truly terrifying without limiting the actors' ability to move, even in action-heavy scenes. For the final stages of infection, such as the monstrous bloaters, the prosthetics were larger and more complex. These massive, hulking creatures required more time to apply and demanded heavier padding to create their decayed, bloated look. The bloaters were designed to appear as though they had been rotting in a post-apocalyptic world for years, with large fungal growths covering their entire bodies. The team took great care in crafting their appearance, ensuring that the decay looked realistic and horrifying. Makeup also played a huge role in pulling off the infected look. Makeup artists spent hours applying layers of fungal textures and decayed skin to help the actors fully embody their characters. Airbrushing techniques were used to add veiny textures and make the infection look like it was spreading beneath the surface. Artists also used various techniques to create the appearance of fungal spores and decayed tissue, giving the infected a gritty, lived-in look that was essential for the show's atmosphere. The makeup team worked tirelessly to make sure the infection looked like it had been part of the world for a long time. Let's talk about the survivors. As much as we love the creepy infected, The Last of Us is ultimately a story about people fighting to survive in a crumbled world. The costumes here had to do a lot of heavy lifting. They needed to reflect both the harshness of the environment and the personalities of the characters, all while staying true to the source material from the game. Cynthia Summers, the costume designer, took the lead in dressing the main characters, including Joel, Ellie, and Tess. These costumes were designed to be functional and believable, but they also needed to show the struggle of living in such a dangerous world. Characters like Joel wore rugged, worn-in clothes, such as flannel shirts, durable jackets, and jeans. His wardrobe reflected his no-nonsense approach to survival. Practical, tough, and battle-tested. These clothes weren't new. They looked like they had been through hell and back. Ellie's costume, on the other hand, had a bit more personality. Her iconic red hoodie and cargo pants weren't just stylish for a post-apocalyptic teenager. They made her feel like a character who was still holding on to the rebellious spirit of her youth, even in such a grim world. The clothing choices were also practical, with durable boots and jackets that would protect her from the elements and danger. The focus on realism in the costuming helped make the world feel lived in, with every piece of clothing worn and tested by time. The survivors in The Last of Us don't get to dress like they're on a runway. Instead, their clothes are practical and often patched up, just like you'd expect from people constantly fighting for survival. The worn-out clothing also helped show the passing of time. Characters like Joel and Tess weren't just surviving day by day. They were adapting to a harsh world where resources were scarce, and every inch of fabric had to be earned. Every hole in their jacket, every frayed seam in their jeans added to the authenticity of the post-apocalyptic vibe. But it wasn't all about practicality. The survivors also wore gas masks or other survival gear to protect themselves from the spores floating through the air. The gas masks were especially important in scenes where the characters ventured into infected zones, and they had to look both functional and intimidating. The props and clothing like this not only helped the characters survive, but also added a bit of stylistic flair, staying true to the game's original look while making them feel more grounded in the world of the show. Finally, we can't forget about the visual effects. While The Last of Us show had some incredible practical effects, there's only so much you can do with prosthetics and makeup. The VFX team played a crucial role in enhancing the world, giving it that extra edge of horror, beauty, and scale that was necessary to fully immerse the audience in the post-apocalyptic setting. A major area where VFX contributed was with the cordyceps fungus itself. The digital team used visual effects to amplify the growth of the fungus, creating sprawling tendrils, infected vegetation, and eerie environments that were both beautiful and terrifying. The show captured nature overtaking the cities, with plants climbing over crumbling buildings, spores floating in the air, and fungus creeping along every surface. These kinds of details were brought to life by the VFX team, who blended the beauty of nature with the unsettling decay of a fallen world. The digital effects helped make the world of The Last of Us feel alive, despite it being in ruins. The infection needed to feel organic, almost like nature had completely taken over. To achieve this, the VFX team used digital techniques to show the fungus spreading everywhere, not just in the infected, but throughout the world itself. It was no longer just an enemy, but had become a part of the environment. The show's visuals emphasized how deeply the fungus was embedded in the world, turning it into a living, breathing entity that added to the show's terrifying atmosphere. Then there's the infected action, the clickers, bloaters, and other monstrous creatures. Prosthetics were used to create the look of these horrific beings, but VFX enhanced their movements, adding an extra layer of terror when they charged at the survivors. The digital effects made the creatures move with a nightmarish fluidity, bringing them to life in ways that prosthetics alone couldn't. The VFX team also used digital effects to showcase the massive scale of the infected, such as the hulking bloaters. These large, grotesque creatures were made even more imposing through the use of digital effects, especially in action-packed sequences where their size and power needed to be fully realized. The VFX team didn't focus solely on the creepy elements, they also enhanced the beauty of the world. This was especially evident in scenes where nature had completely taken over, like when vines crawled over abandoned cars or buildings. These visuals weren't just decorative, they told the story of how the world had moved on without humanity, with nature reclaiming what was once ours. By weaving together hauntingly beautiful visuals and terrifying elements of the infection, the show created a seamless atmosphere that balanced both aspects of the story. The team aimed to capture the haunting beauty of a decaying world. Nature reclaiming the cities was an impactful visual that conveyed the bittersweet idea that life could still thrive, even in the face of such horror. Through their use of visual effects, the team was able to bring The Last of Us to life in ways that were both visually stunning and emotionally impactful. The magic of The Last of Us comes from how the team blended visual effects, practical work, and storytelling. Thanks for watching Collider. See you next time.